You guys asked for it, and here it is. My go-to loadouts in Ready or Not. Whether you're dealing with twitchy meth heads, armoured extremists, or just feel like blasting the doors off the hinges, this guide's got you covered. What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're enjoying Ready or Not on console. If you're watching this video, I'll assume you are. And if you're not enjoying it, then go and watch something else. After my last video, a few of you dropped comments asking for a loadout breakdown. So I figured that I'd share my go-to kits, the ones that I actually use. Now, this doesn't mean that you have to copy these loadouts exactly. What works for me might not work for you. And let's be real, loadout videos always seem to spark some debate in the comments. There's always some gun nut insisting that everyone's playing the game wrong. So, if that's you, kindly jog on. The kits I'm going to show you today are based on my own personal preference, and if you disagree, that's cool. That's the beauty of Ready or Not. You can fully customize your setup to match your playstyle. So I do highly recommend messing around with the gear, trying a few different weapons and tac devices, and finding what feels right for you, rather than just taking mine, or anyone else's word for that matter. Every mission in Ready or Not is different. Some have just a few suspects, whilst others are stacked with heavily armed, non-compliant terrorists. And then of course you've got the dopey meth heads, who roll over like a puppy after you spray them with a face full of CS gas. So what I'm getting at here is that one loadout won't fit every scenario. I usually keep about 5 different kits ready to go, and today I'll walk you through each one. So let's start off with kit number 1, my non-lethal kit. Starting with my primary weapon, my favourite non-lethal option is the beanbag shotgun. If suspects aren't wearing any armour and they get hit in the face with this thing, they'll feel like they've just been smacked by Bigfoot's dick. 1 or 2 solid shots with this usually gets them throwing their hands up, begging you to slap the cuffs on. Now, I know that I said this is a non-lethal kit, so you're probably wondering why I'm running a Magnum as my sidearm. Sometimes suspects don't play nicely, and they've got no interest in surrendering, and occasionally shit hits the fan. That's when you go from good cop to getting dropped. The Magnum's got some serious stopping power for a sidearm, and when things get hairy, it will usually get the job done. Moving on to my tactical device, 90% of the time I recommend running the mirror gun, especially if you're playing solo with AI. Sure, you can tell your AI squad to mirror the door, but personally I've found that the info they give you is sometimes a little bit sketchy. If you're running with a squad of mates, just make sure at least one of you brings it. As for armour, this is the only kit where I generally run light armour, mainly because I want the extra munitions to carry more non-lethal gear. I usually pack 2 gas, 2 stingers, pepper spray and a taser, so I've always got options if one thing doesn't work. As for headgear, I always opt for the gas mask with this kit, since I tend to use the CS gas more than the flashbangs. By using the gas mask, it allows me to enter the room immediately after the gas is deployed, allowing me to get an upper hand and make an early arrest.
You think I'm gonna listen to you? Drop the weapon now!
Moving on to kit number 2, my light to medium armed loadout. This is my go-to kit for missions where you're facing lightly to moderately armed suspects, or when there are only a handful of enemies to deal with. Starting with the primary weapon, I usually opt for an SMG, specifically the MPX. It's got low recoil, quick reloads, and it's perfect for overwhelming suspects in close quarters. It runs 9mm rounds, which means I've still got a decent chance of being able to injure a suspect instead of killing them outright, so arrests are still very doable. That said, if I do need to go lethal, it will still absolutely get the job done. For the sidearm, I actually run a non-lethal option in this kit. It gives me a backup plan if I want to prioritise arrests without having to rely solely on the primary. As for tactical devices, I go with the gas launcher, but only if someone else in the squad is already running the mirror gun. The launcher lets me deploy gas fast and safely without exposing myself to trying to toss grenades through doorways. In terms of armour, I go with heavy, full coverage ceramic plates. It gives me solid protection and decent speed without the weight penalty of the steel plates. In terms of munitions, I carry CS, a flashbang and pepper spray, giving me flexibility depending on how the suspects are reacting. And finally, for headgear, I stick with the gas mask once again. It lets me push right in after deploying gas without coughing my lungs up like I've just smoked a pack of Winnie Blues, and giving me a good chance to take suspects alive. Loadout number 3 is what I use when I'm up against multiple heavily armed suspects. For this setup, my primary weapon is the Mark 18. It handles well, has minimal recoil, and with the 5.56 rounds, it packs enough punch to drop most threats, while still giving you a small chance of keeping suspects alive compared to the overkill of 7.62 rounds. As for the sidearm, if I'm honest, I rarely use it with this kit. The primary weapon does all the heavy lifting, and when you're going up against suspects with rifles and body armor, you really shouldn't be relying on your pistol anyway. For my tac device, I always go with the mirror gun. Not only does it let me see what's behind doors, but it's especially useful on missions where I'm up against barricaded suspects who love to leave little surprises like traps under the doors. The mirror gun allows me to safely check for the booby traps underneath without having to peek the door. Armor wise, I go with the full heavy steel plates. Of course it slows you down, but Ready or Not isn't a run and gun game, so you've got time to move methodically, and that extra protection is absolutely worth it. For munitions, I pack 3 flashbangs and a lockpick gun. That way I can breach and clear quickly, without wasting time or equipment on every locked door. Finally, for headgear I go with the ballistic mask for the added protection, and I pair it with the anti-flash goggles, so I'm not as heavily affected by flashbangs when I clear rooms. Moving on to loadout number 4, probably my favourite setup to run when I'm playing with a bunch of mates, the breacher kit. If you like making loud noises and blowing shit up, then this one's for you. Starting with the primary, I run the M1 shotgun. It hits hard, cycles fast, and compared to the other shotguns, the fire rate is just awesome. Once again, I don't really bother with the sidearm here, mainly because I just like watching the suspects get folded with the shotgun. For my tactical device, I use the battering ram just because it makes light work of locked doors, and it's fun to go through like a ball in a china shop. I also pair that with the full heavy armor and steel plates, just because when you're breaching first, you're likely going to take a few hits. For munitions, I generally just run 4 C2 charges, because blowing the doors off is pretty fucking cool, and I want to do it as often as possible. And finally, for headgear, I'll use the ballistic mask paired with the anti-flash goggles, mainly because my teammates love throwing flashbangs, usually straight in my face. And last but not least, loadout number 5, quite possibly my favourite setup, a little something I like to call the no fucking about kit. Now, let me be clear, this isn't the loadout you bring when you're trying to play the game properly and score as high as you possibly can. No, this is the kit for those days when you've had a crap day at work and all you want to do is come home, fire up Ready or Not and put some holes into some virtual scumbags. Starting with the primary, I'm running the G3 battle rifle, 7.62 rounds, full auto enabled. Trust me, once a few of these hit, nobody's getting back up. This thing absolutely destroys. For the sidearm, I bring the Magnum, mostly because it looks cool, and I honestly only end up using it when I've run out of rifle ammo for getting a little bit too trigger happy. For my tactical device, I go with the Stinger launcher. If they're not down after the G3, the Stinger's there to make sure that they feel it. Armor wise, it's full heavy with steel plates, no cutting corners, and I bring the 4 flashbangs to light up every room before I storm it. For headgear, it's the ballistic mask, the anti-flash goggles combo again, because let's face it, when I'm running this kit, things are going to get chaotic. Whenever I load this setup, I know I'm in for a good night. Well, that's it from me. I hope this video gave you a good idea of some of the loadouts you can run in Ready or Not, but like I said earlier, the real fun is experimenting for yourself. So don't be afraid to mix things up and find out what works best for you. If you've enjoyed the video, give it a like, drop a comment below, and consider subscribing for more tactical content. Thanks for watching, I'll catch you in the next one, and as always, keep it crispy.